Welcome to a Ripple Deep Consulting presentation. In this video, we'll assess the data inputted into the FoRSE Matrix from the first introductory video that first introduced us to the family of related systemic elements, or the FoRSE Matrix. Remember, in the first time, we went through and we decided what the query was. This is the question or the problem by the client. Then we highlighted some of those purposes. And initially, this was the beginning list. It's a good first attempt. Now, typically when we input at first, we try to cover as much ground and include just about everything. There are some additional items that should be included or altered. For example, some of these items belong under the other big picture clusters, such as promotions, fundraising, and resources. So if we reread the query and note the items in this list, in this cluster, list only those items that relate directly to the purposes of the query, and finally, to the overall purposes of the organization. Remember, our question here is, what do we hope to achieve? How does it relate to the organization's purposes? And who is involved? Those are pertinent details. Now, with those changes noted, and we'll look at those a little bit further on in this video, we move on to the second cluster, which is the form or design. Again, a good first attempt. There are some additional items here that should be included or altered. We also need to know where these actions will take place, such as in the organization. Is it designated or shared office space? Is the lead role for someone part or full-time position? What are the kinds and number of events, and where? What does sustained school relationships look like? And other avenues for promoting the images of the organization. Moving on to the infrastructure, this is in support of the other two clusters, the purposes and the form or design. This leads us to further details that are meant to support those other two clusters. Do they? Is there enough detail in here? Again, this is a good starting list. There are some additional items that should be included or altered in this list. Under decision making, is it top-down decision making or some variation of that or blended? Does the director report to, advise, or defer decision making to the superintendent? What percentage of time is expected of the director? And under resources, we'll put some more details there that relate to this. Under actions, there's a general list of action items, but specifics need to be included here. How do we identify the team? What steps are required or desired? How will the team be trained, and by whom? Who will do the networking, and how? How will the director be chosen, by whom, and when? How will funding be organized and managed, and by whom? Then moving on to resources, we need to include office or meeting space and approximate amount of funds needed. Under timelines, specific times and dates should be added as soon as possible. So with those changes noted, let's move on and see what that looks like reworked. Under purposes, notice we've streamlined the information, made sure that it reads clearer, and that these are in greater support and clarification of our query. The form or design reworked. In point form, notice the specifics here. We're indicating how the director is going to be chosen, how much time is involved, what we're going to do with the donors. The how and the specifics belong over here. For fundraising events, we're noting that what it looks like is this number of events. Relationships. Some of these items are to be determined by the committee, by the director himself or herself. Designated space. We're being clear about where it is, clarifying what is to be done about that, and also talking and raising the issue about additional events and activities. Under the infrastructure, notice we've added further details here that support the other two clusters. Again, about the specifics of the director and their role in relationship to higher up authorities. When to start, their time and their role, The types of actions, some of these to be determined again by the committee or by the director once that person has been chosen. Training aspects in there, how the committee will function. The resources includes not only the director plus volunteers, but also mentions about self-funding, so monetary resources and what that looks like. These numbers, 80,000 all told for the director and ensuring that the committee works and functions efficiently and effectively, determined by the client. And then the timeline. Notice we put in specific dates here. When to identify the team, training, when they should be up and running. Fundraising times. We mentioned over here for specific fundraising events spread throughout the year. We put them in here. Note now with the reworked clusters that they align. This, under purposes, directly supports the former design and infrastructure and is supported by those other two clusters, and vice versa. The same thing this way. These must align. Any place where there's a misalignment, there are going to be problems. And the ultimate goals and purposes of the organization will not be achieved. So the more detail which is put in this first stage, the better the success. So having walked through the first stage of the FoRSE Matrix, you're on the right path through stages 2 and 3. Now in stage 2, we add on 3 categories that consider the individual, the corporate, and principles elements. And these are attached with a series of pertinent questions that really dig out more information. Stage 3 takes the analysis even deeper, bringing out further details that are fundamental to decision making and ensuring that there truly is a big picture for any consultation that the organization needs. So we encourage you to register and check things out at rippledeep.com to access these additional stages and to do well in your venture.